I have to say, if you are in a very capital-intensive business, this may not be quite as relevant to you. But the great thing about the internet is that you can change things quite quickly. And speed is incredibly important in the business that I was in. First mover advantage often confers leadership for a long time. And so
sometimes at the expense of credibility. If you put something out that's half-baked, it can come back.
It's true. But if you can iterate and fix it really fast, you're better off getting something out there. And the other thing I would say, when you are pioneering a whole new area, I mean, think about it. There was no playbook. There was no manual for what we did at eBay. We were pioneering a whole new field of commerce. So frankly, often you didn't know what the right thing to do was. And my view was, let's put it out there. We could spend another 6 weeks or another 6 months perfecting this on the fine points. And frankly, when users first use it, they'll tell us more about it than we would ever know from a command and control centralized point of view. So we were always trying to push things out faster so we could get customer feedback, so we could incorporate the power of many to optimize the solution for the benefit of the users. And it has proven to be, we did have a phrase which is not unique to eBay: perfect is the enemy of good enough. And you've got to get things out there and iterate. What doesn't work is to put something out there that's 75% baked and then never go back to it. And that's also a tendency of internet companies too, sometimes. If you can get them to get it out there, they want to go on to the next thing. And you've got to keep working it. This is not true in all fields. And when we have this conversation at home, my husband is a neurosurgeon. And actually, perfect is the objective, neurosurgeon. And so we have always a fairly humorous back and forth on this, because you don't really want to crack into someone's head and be going, oh, okay, now, what are we up to now?
Well, going through the book, I didn't find any typos, but that must have been an interesting adventure to write a book and then have to go and say, let's go, we've got deadlines and markets to hit and tours and all of the rest. Yep. So let's go on a few. Back in college, you sold ads. And you said in the book that business energizes you. It's not just the deals, but you've got a competitive streak that maybe is not widely known, or you don't wear it on your sleeve.
No.
Let's put it that way.
So I am a pretty competitive person, and it's been that way. You know how your children, they come with a personality. I think I came competitive. And I was a competitive swimmer as a child, and one of the stories that my mother told to the author of the book, with my co-author, Joan Hamilton, who was my collaborator, because I let her interview my mother. And I wasn't too excited about this story. But when I was a little girl, I was in competitive swim races. And if I did not get first or second, I would come out of the pool just crying. They would wrap me in a towel, take me into the ladies' room, and I would cry until I heard the bell for the next race. And then I would run back out. And so I think, I was 6 years old, right? So that's pretty much in the DNA.
I think so.
So I'm pretty competitive. And I forget how we got on that subject.
Competitive? Yeah.
I'm competitive. I like selling this. Yeah, right. So one of the first things that I ended up doing at Princeton there was a magazine at Princeton called Business Today. And I didn't know much about business, but I knew they were hiring salespeople to sell ads. And so I signed on. And I loved the process of selling ads. And that's actually how I decided to go into business. I thought, selling ads, business, it's kind of the same thing. And I love the direct input. You get feedback right away. You're selling more or you're selling less. I mean, I like the competitive nature.
So you're down with the flu. You've got some sales calls to do with your co-student, and you're driving around.
Yeah.
You're just a useless. Not able to barely get up and do anything. Tell them about that.
As undergraduates, we would go out on summer trips and trips during vacations to sell ads around the country. And a very close friend of mine at Princeton, another Meg Osius, and I were assigned to go to Wisconsin to sell ads for a week during a spring break. And so we were staying with a Princeton alum in the Milwaukee area, and I came down with a terrible case of flu. And we had all these appointments set up with these companies to go sell ads. And I said, I've got to go to bed. This is just terrible. And Meg said, you've got to get out of bed. And so we persevered, and literally we would drive from appointment to appointment. We'd go from one company, we'd finish the sales call, I'd lie down in the back of the car, we'd drive up to the next company, I'd pull myself out of the back of the car, make the next sales pitch, then get back and lie down in the car until we drove to the next place. So, you know, sometimes you just kind of have to do what you have to do.
Do what you have to do.